And we are live. Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. I am this week's host, Henry Wind. You can find me on Twitter at Henry Wind. Gentlemen, it's season 4. This is crazy. We're on season 4 of this podcast, which, what are the stats out there that like 85% of podcasts fail after 12 episodes? And we're out here 4 seasons deep. So congratulations to the lads. And we're starting off season 4, just like we started off season 3 with the preseason Premier League preview. There's a lot of P's in that sentence. So we're going to dive into where we see our respective teams lining up in preseason, what we anticipate for this upcoming game or match week 1, as well as some transfer news for all 4 of our teams. And finally, we'll end it off with our top 4 predictions for the season. Without further ado, gentlemen, Andy Hoover, let's start with you, bro. How are you doing today?
Great, man. Happy to be here, as always. Didn't see much football this weekend, but it doesn't matter because next weekend's the one that matters. I did watch the shit out of Burnley versus Luton today in their kickoff for their season, so that felt great to just have run in during meetings. Things are looking up. I'm excited to have the Prem back, and City's like winning some games, which is pretty sweet despite the tournament itself. And all things are looking up. Check in with me next week. We'll see how my vibes are after Leicester City. So
yeah, we'll see how they feel. Because this is a Premier League preview and the banter and the shit talking is officially back, we'll go to our gentleman second. Because that's where he's comfortable. Lucas Winkleman, welcome to the pod.
What's up, Hen? Good to see you guys. While I enjoy talking about City, I feel like the excitement around a new Prem season is something a little different, especially with us, only having had St. Louis City and St. Louis for a couple years now. So very, very excited to dive into this and to give you guys all my takes. I'm so happy that I can say, fuck Spurs again now that we're back. But yeah, good to see you guys.
You're so back, baby. We're so back. I was about to say, it's been so long since we've actually been able to talk shit on this podcast because, we've all been on the same team for the last several weeks. So it's nice. It's already nice. Oh, fuck. I almost forgot to introduce Nick. He's typically so far down the table. I forgot. Nick Hayflinger. How we doing, big guy? Welcome back from Disney.
We're doing great. Like you've all been saying, I'm happy that the Premier League's back because, boy, did I miss talking shit with you guys. Also pumped that it's been 4 seasons. Shout out to all you guys. I love doing this every Monday. It's something that I thoroughly enjoy, so appreciate every single one of you. And I'm also now pumped because I can't keep track of anything that revolves around Chelsea transfers because we're happening every single day. So I'm happy to get a little update from you guys on all of the news that Chelsea is happening because it's hard to keep track of it over here.
It's absolutely insane.
I do have a list of all the transfer stuff that's been going on because we have been very active, but super pumped to be here with you guys. As always, you can follow me on Hayfee at Hayfee4 on Twitter. But yeah, let's get into it.
Get into it indeed. Gentlemen, did you know that Smooth Sack Summer is officially upon us? When you're playing in the summer sun, make sure you're groomed from pubes to bum. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped, you can make this season your smoothest yet. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the ultimate bundle to keep your boys downstairs cool while looking hot. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Get 20% off and free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use the code MECCA20, MECCA20. Summertime and trimming is easy. Let's touch a brief moment for St. Louis City. This is a Premier League preview, but St. Louis City did play a game, albeit the League's Cup, but we scored 3 goals. We did
it's
that.
A first, so we have to talk about it.
We gotta talk about it. Not only did we score 3 goals, but all 3 goals came from our 3 new signings, which immediate impact. That's what you want to see. Any notable points of this game?
I didn't get to watch it. I was out of town. But like a kid in a candy store every time you see a goal pop up on your phone from FOTMob. I was out of town and just actively pulling up the live stream so I could see the replay, touch it back a little bit. I do appreciate that about the streaming aspect of Apple TV. But Betcher's goal was disgusting.
It was awesome.
Disgusting.
It was so good.
And Hartle's Lowen's pass to Hartle to that finish was disgusting.
It was great.
So those are the best possible situations that you could have. Especially, Betcher's like, that is not something I know he had in his locker. I don't know if he knew he had it in his locker either. So, those types of goals can only help you going forward. And I think it's really solid to see the German boys, linking up. Like, that was what we were concerned about last week. We talked to the City Views. It was like, they're going to have to find combination between themselves because they're the two of the most important players on the pitch. So they, with the width and the way that we're having to play with the guys that we need on the pitch, how is that going to look? It wasn't, neither of them were from just beautifully flowing open play, but it matters a lot, I think, in the beginning of a chemistry building type period that we're 100% in right now. I think that, again, we're only finding things to build on. There's going to be goals at the back. That's how we play. It is what it is, but there's some tactically, different ideas, which was cool. We love those too. These are all things that we've asked for in the last couple of months. So, seeing it come against an okay Portland side feels good for sure. Beating some better competition than Chicago and San Jose, that's a nice win. Do I think we beat Club America? Absolutely not. No, I think we get cooked. But I don't care. It's going in a positive direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it wasn't so long ago during the MLS season that we were begging for any bit of cohesiveness or goals to be scored. And so, like you said, it was against a good Portland team. We carry that momentum back into the regular season once it resumes. We're looking pretty good. Vintage Leuven performance. Finally, we got to see it. I'm just stoked about it. I did get to dap up Leuven on Saturday. Saw him out in public. Told him that it was an unbelievable assist. And he was grinning ear to ear about it. And that feels good. That he was stoked about it. I imagine it was a pretty big relief for him getting 2 assists in that game. So as Hoover said, we play Club America Tuesday, which is tomorrow, which is also today when you're listening to this. Because it'll come out on Tuesday, and we play Tuesday night. So stick around. Maybe that's the end of our Leagues Cup journey. Maybe it's not. But wasn't it last year that we played them at home and got fucking obliterated? Winks, didn't we go to that game? Was that you and me that went? And it was
it was technically, it might as well have been an away game. But
yeah, it was an away match. It was nuts.
In LA this weekend or on tomorrow today, it's going to be an away match, and it's going to be a savage away match. You're in the trenches in an away day in Los Angeles playing the continent's biggest soccer club. So
yeah, it's we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Yeah. But good things coming. Lads, let's get into the Premier League. The Premier League kicks off on Friday with Manchester United against Fulham, which I'm super stoked for. Took the day off of work for it. Really excited to see it. But we're going to go over a couple of things. Now, we have 4 teams represented here. And if you're new to the podcast, most of us support different teams. You have myself, Manchester United. You have Lucas. You have Arsenal. Hoove is Tottenham, and Nick is Chelsea. A couple of the other guys, Butch has Liverpool, and Dobes has Manchester United as well. We get to report on how these teams do every single week, and what we're going to be discussing first is any transfer business that happened over the summer, whether that's incomings, outgoings, anyone that you're excited about. We're also going to give our teams a transfer grade on an A to F scale. What would you grade this transfer window? As well as anything notable that happened maybe in preseason, whether it was a game or a tournament or whatever it was, any tactics that you see upcoming. So if I missed anything, you'll add it into your little section. Lucas, I'm going to start with you as Arsenal is at the top of the table right now. They're at the top of the table.
Whoop. Get used to it.
Get used to it. So, Winks, give us the deep dive of Arsenal FC.
Yeah, so we had, while we didn't sign a lot of players this year, this window so far, we did release a ton of contracts. I think it was something like 15 or 20 players, maybe more, had their contracts released, or we sent several out on loan, kind of all around the world during this transfer window. Most notably, we sold Emile Rowe, Arsenal Academy kid, to Fulham, 27 million euros. I feel like he's been brought up kind of randomly the last couple seasons, but I think this is a really good move for him. I'm a huge fan of his, and I really like him, as a person and a player. But with the players that we were bringing in, there just wasn't any room for him to get consistent starting minutes. So I think that for him going to a team like Fulham, I think he's going to excel in that midfield and do really well, and I hope he does. But beyond that, we did sign David Raya officially off of loan, 27 million euros. So essentially, shifting in and out as far as that money goes. And then we signed two 17 and an 18-year-old two academy guys. Don't know much about them and haven't done too much research yet, but I feel like the biggest signing that we made is Calafiori, and I can't tell you how excited I am for him. I think that we've talked before, especially last season, about what our teams needed during the transfer portal, and I definitely don't think that we've fully signed what I was hoping we would. But I'm trying my best not to, take what I think we should be doing into account when I'm giving a grade, because obviously Arteta has, a plan that's much deeper than my even understanding of the squad strength and the lineup. So trusting him here, but we did get to watch Calafiori against Lyon yesterday. He came on for the final 25 minutes and looked really good. I didn't know too much about him prior to the signing, so obviously went and watched a lot of highlight tapes.
There
What?
it is.
There it is.
What?
The only
There
people
what
who
is?
knew about him were Italian.
Yeah.
We saw him
Yeah,
pop up with the hair in the Euro, and we were like, wow, this guy looks pretty good. Boom, signing of the year. It's going to be
Yeah.
Immediate impact into second place. They're
the
going to win the title
seventh
now.
center back you guys are going to play on the pitch at one time in terrorist football.
No, he won't play center back.
Where's he going to
Much.
play?
No, you're right. He's going to play. He's
no
going to play
idea.
left
back.
wing.
I've heard a different answer from everyone.
But then, like, where's Timber going to play?
We're gonna have the deepest back line in the Premier League.
Not deeper than Chelsea's.
It's-
I mean, they have 46.
It's a deep back line, but
What do
you
you
have
mean?
no
We have none of them
wing backs.
defenders.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so weird. Like, why not sign an actual wingback?
Well,
Also, you said I'm trying not to, think of like what I would do in this space because you're trying to think of like, when you're making the grade. That's the whole fucking point of this podcast, bro. Like,
It is.
Your thoughts on what is happening with your team is the point of this podcast.
What are you missing?
Yeah, what the hell?
Well, we talked about it last season, but an out-and-out striker is still on that list for me.
That would be a nice signing.
Haven't seen, there's been a lot of rumors around a lot of different players, but obviously nothing concrete. But that position and then a backup winger for Bukayo Saka were the two main ones
100%.
that I was hoping we would cover. Obviously haven't done that. Am I squeaking?
No, bro.
Sounds staticky. But no, so no super concrete updated rumors on either of those positions, though, unfortunately. We still have Reece Nelson and a couple other guys that I think can play that position, but wasn't quite what I was expecting from the transfer portal. So with that being said, I'm going to give us a B-. I think that we definitely made the squad stronger by signing David Raya officially and, I watching the Arsenal game yesterday, Calafiori did look really good. One thing I like about him, I think he's going to add a lot of balance to our back line when he does play at that left back position, because our back line traditionally, outside of on, corner kicks and balls crossed in, when defending one-on-one, each of our defenders are very calm on the ball and wait for the right moment to dive in, whereas he is the complete opposite. He's coming in and immediately becoming the most aggressive defender on our team, and I think that that's electric and something that that we can use. And also watching him, he likes to get the ball quickly, and watching him carried into space, I think he does a better job of that than Zinchenko does, both defending and carrying the ball, because he's eons quicker than him. His acceleration's nuts. So
That was definitely what I noticed on him
Yeah.
at the Euro. Was like his ability to step up was impressive for sure. Like I
Yep.
picked that up. It was
yeah,
it's quick. with it.
he is rapid, and so I think while you have Ben White on the right side, who is one of those more patient defenders, but we saw his offensive contribution, and once he figured out that triangle with Saka and Odegaard on that right hand side, overlapping, making runs in behind, making crosses, I think that Calafiori is going to be able to do that on the left side of the field. But with his pace and Martinelli's pace down that left side, that's going to be disgusting. Seeing how he kind of fits into that role and how much he actually does get forward, because we saw it when he was playing for Italy, but whenever I was going back and watching highlight reels of him, he was doing the same thing in the Serie A too. So very, very excited for him. Not the signing I was expecting, but after watching him for 25 minutes, I can confidently say he's the best player in the Premier League by a country mile. No, but I'm gonna take what I can get, and anywhere that we can provide depth. We talk about it year after year, but depth is such an important piece in this long season. Knowing how many games all these players play, between the league and all these other tournaments, and when you're playing Champions League football too, you have just that many more games to play. So I will never say no to squad depth. I also know that we're I think we have a personal agreement with Mikel Merino as well, to add a little depth to the midfield. And, I think that the plan there is to put him and Rice and Martin Odegaard in the middle, so that since we didn't sign an out-and-out striker, so we don't have to pull Kai Havertz down, from the front three to play midfield anytime throughout the year. I think that adding that depth spot, or adding a player in the midfield, especially losing Emile Smith-Rowe, I think was a good move too. But again, I think I wish.
No, man, I think giving a B- is really, really, really generous, because I think your bar is you got to win the league, right? Like, because you finished second the last 2 years, and so like the goal would be any signing that you make is a title deciding signing. And for me, you sign Calafiori, and I have no doubt that he's going to be great, by the way. Like, I liked what I saw in the Euros too. Like, whatever, I think he'll fit in beautifully in Arsenal's back line wherever he plays. But is a Calafiori and maybe Marino, which hasn't happened yet, but maybe those two signings, is that a title deciding transfer window? Because you're losing depth in Smith Rowe. Granted, he didn't play a lot last year. You still didn't replace the striker problem. And I think the really, really clear thing to me is something that you called out earlier, is having backup for Saka. I think that one is the one that, more than any other issue last year, I think that was the one that throughout the season plagued you all the most, that Saka had to play so many minutes and he was the only choice. And I think that for me is still like a glaring issue for you all. And so I think a B- is super generous. Because I don't know if you all made any of those signings.
He played 1 billion games last year. Like,
Totally.
Straight out of every game Arsenal played, straight into the Euro to play every game. Like, that at some point, dude, you just can't keep up with that. So I mean, I agree completely. And Reece Nelson, again,
he's
might be pretty solid for like a West Ham or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not the depth you need for sure.
No, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I like Reece Nelson too. I think, we saw some of the games that he came on, in 80 minutes, 80 minutes plus, and, scored a game-winning goal in one of our games early in the season last year, and put in great minutes. But I just don't think consistently. I see him very much as an Emile Smith-Rowe kind of guy that isn't ever going to get starting minutes. Nobody's going to be starting over him. But I think that, similar to how we got Trossard on the left side, he's Premier League proven. He's 28, 29 years old, so he's got a little more wisdom than some of the younger players on our team. I think that potentially looking at someone that same age that's Premier League proven, preferably not English, so we can avoid that tax, but getting somebody like that on the right side that, again, is Premier League proven, I think.
I couldn't believe that you all didn't go for Pedro Neto. I thought that would have been perfect.
Yeah, instead he's going to have to play in a system without an identity.
He's cooking. So B- from Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
Any other notable preseason thoughts on Arsenal?
No, I mean, it's tough from, they don't televise all of the preseason games anyway, so I didn't get to watch all of them, which sucks, and I hope that that's something they, change in the future, because I would love to watch every single one. But, I thought we looked really good. The games that I did watch, it's just tough to judge these preseason games because of the lineups that they put out, and obviously they're using, every sub they can as well, so.
Yeah, totally.
Dude,
you see like 45 minutes of guys.
Yeah, guys look fit though, and I can tell they're excited to be back, and crowd was as loud as ever. So
at least you guys like played in America, bro. I'm like waking up at 4 a.m., which I didn't. I didn't wake up to any 4 a.m. games in Korea or Japan or Australia, but I'm just jealous of that. It's like the third year in a row.
It's crazy. Well, we'll see, Lucas. I think that there is almost 3 weeks left of the transfer window, 18 days.
Yeah.
I'm expecting one, maybe two more from Arsenal.
100%.
We'll see what happens. And then it'll be funny. Like literally we'll like do this episode tonight, and then in 3 weeks we could revisit our grades and see if that's like actually how the window ended. But from a tiny amount of business in Arsenal to every amount of business in Chelsea, across London, Nikki, what the fuck, man? What's going on? What's happening with this Chelsea squad?
Brother, man, I wish I could only tell you, we're slutting it out this transfer window.
Truth.
I was thinking about it today. I get it. I feel like when people are calling Chelsea right now to make some deals or transfer ideas, it's just some guy on the other line that's going, absolutely, let me put you into the next person, and then moving along. Like, where from who? All right, moving along to the next step in our process. Because I'm gonna admit it, it's even hard to keep track of who's on our team and who's not on our team at the moment. Like I've looked up like 8 different places for our whole list of ins and outs on who is leaving and who we have recently signed, and I still don't know if any of them are like official. Like, we've had so many that there's some here and there that I don't know if they're officially done deals. But I will also say, as much as like I'm kind of complaining about it right now, it could be the opposite, and we could not be signing anyone whatsoever. So there could be the other end. So I'm happy that we have an ownership group and a coach that's willing to go out and buy people. And pretty much we're just hoping that our scouting team is doing a good job with a lot of them. I will say some notable ones that I wanted to bring up, and like we've been talking about, if there's ones that you guys want to bring up, by all means. The list is so long that I'm probably going to forget some people, and we can definitely talk about them. But the people, obviously, that we've brought in, the big one of the summer of recent is Pedro Neto. This one's real interesting to me. I'm okay with the signing because I do think he's a talented player. I'm just a little upset because I think he's the same thing as Conor Gallagher almost. And we're kind of getting rid of him and burning that bridge. So I think that's quite an interesting business decision on our part of getting rid of a academy guy that's been here for a while and pretty much had an incredible season last year for us. And then bringing in a Pedro Neto, who's definitely more experienced in the Prem of late. He has, I don't even know how many more starts over Conor Gallagher, but I just thought that was a pretty interesting one. I'm not going to sit here and complain about the signing because I do think he is a baller. I was very intrigued by bringing him in, as well as Drewsbury Hall. Like, I think Drewsbury Hall, again, is a very good center midfielder. He's another one that we brought in from Leicester, but we're getting rid of Conor Gallagher, who I think is very similar in those positions as far as depth goes in the center midfield. Maybe Neto can play out wide and provide us a little bit of width, but once again, we have a lot of depth out there too. So I was kind of shocked by it. The other signing for me was Mark Gu. I can never pronounce his last name. I'm just going to call him Big Mark up top.
Big Mark.
Big Mark up top. I think I talked to you guys about it on one of the podcasts a couple of weeks ago when we did sign him. I was a little skeptical about him. But after watching some of the preseason, I was impressed. And I'm happy that we'll have some competition in the striker position. If hopefully we sign Osman, I don't even know. That's another thing. I've seen that we're also looking at loaning Big Mark out. So, like, I don't even know if he's going to be on our team come Sunday. So we'll see what happens with that.
What the hell is going on? I can't even keep track.
I'm seeing rumors that we're going to loan him out. So, like, that's interesting. Lot, and to be fair, a lot of the signings that we've made, even within the last year, like, already looking to loan a lot of these players out. We're signing a lot of youngsters, and then in hopes of figuring it out at the end.
Dude, no kidding.
And we'll see how it goes. The other person I want to talk about that went out that is upsetting to me is Trevor Chalobah. Once again, another academy guy that I think we're releasing in a position that we need a lot of. We've signed a whole bunch of youngsters, and I think one of them has been a defender. Yes, we do have a bunch of people coming back from injuries, but after the preseason performances, that's the area that I think we need the most help in. Our center backs are clueless at the moment. I know it's preseason and we don't want to base a lot on that, but I have not been impressed by our defense when it comes to a lot of the preseason matches. Obviously, we'll score a bunch of goals, but if we can't stop them from going in our net, that's never fun.
Celtics
we have 8.
Yeah, Celtics a huge team.
Yeah. And especially when you have 8 goalies, I mean, you're expecting them not.
Yeah, bro, I mean, what is going on?
Well, someone said it in our text message group the other day, and I think it's somewhat accurate as far as Enzo Marasca came in. He gave a list of people that he probably wanted and a couple of youngsters that he thinks would be good depth people or people that he could at least have in his squad so he can start building relationships with. And then I think Bowley had a list of people that he could just do business with. He can do whatever he wanted with them. He's trying to sell them. He's trying to do business. I think there's that aspect of this transfer window for us that, like, it's twofold of, like, our board is going out and doing a bunch of business decisions, and then also they're going out and getting players that our coach is asking for, which, once again, I'm not going to complain about if our team is going out and making moves during the transfer window. It's just been a lot, and I think in a time where Chelsea was kind of already in a rebuild, we're pretty much just resetting again because I have no idea what the starting lineup is going to look like on Sunday. I have an idea, but obviously we'll see what happens there, and I don't even know what our full roster will be. Another name I wanted to say, one more, he just popped up, was Alfie Gilchrist. He's another guy that, like, academy boy that we've just kind of put on loan to another team and wished him the best of luck, and as we bring in new 18-year-olds to come in and fill his place.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, if I was to give, you can go.
Nope, you got it. You got it, sister.
I was just going to give a grade. My grade was a C+ for Chelsea as far as the transfer window goes. I think we did a lot during this transfer window, which I think will not go well for us in the long run. So that's why I'm giving us a C+. But yeah, I want to hear your guys' thoughts.
I think at this point, Henry, you should go back to posting those juggling videos because one of the scouts might see you and you could.
Yeah, they might pick me up.
No,
I want to say that Pedro Neto is nothing like Conor Gallagher.
And putting them in the same sentence, if he's healthy.
I just want to clarify for our listeners, Pedro Neto is a dog.
Is a baller.
He is one of the more creative wingers in the Premier League that can create. He can score. He's dynamic. He's fast as fuck. He can take people on. Conor Gallagher, big engine, box to box. He's your Jordan Henderson kind of guy. Nothing like Pedro Neto. I think that Pedro Neto was not anywhere close to a replacement. Huh?
Have you watched a lot of Wolves the last couple of years?
I've seen a lot of Pedro Neto.
Engines are very similar, brother.
Because Pedro Neto was being linked with United a lot last year. So I was like salivating. I was like, let's fucking go. And then Chelsea, 60 million. You know, why not? But the thing is, Nick, that I mean, everything that we have is speculation, you know, because we don't fucking know what's going on. I also like watched a couple of their preseason games just because I'm like, whatever, I'll turn it on. They looked horrible. And I know that preseason doesn't matter because last year during preseason, Chelsea looked unbelievable in preseason. They were scoring a million goals.
Bagging goals left and right.
Right. Yeah. So like the result of preseason doesn't really matter, you know, but like it does give me a little pause when you're bringing in this many people and like you as a fan who actually follows the club and like, you know, the shit, you have no idea what you can expect. So completely. I don't know. Maybe you'll learn something Sunday, but it's crazy.
I mentioned this to Hen, and like from our point of view, we're like, "Ooh, do we really think that guy's worth that much money? Who gives a shit? They're paying the money. Like they're bringing the players in from a fan's point of view. I don't care if we cash out on someone who sucks." And we, it really doesn't matter to me the profit and loss statement at the end of the day. My concern for Chelsea is that in already of a shaken up system, you're bringing in all these cats to where how do you control a dressing room? Like I think the concern is genuinely just the list of players that some were probably maybe for promised first team minutes. Like we don't know what those conversations look like when they make the transfer.
One of the 4 coaches.
Yeah, exactly. We've got another new coach who's trying to implement a style in the preseason with, a squad of, what was it, 50-something guys that are technically first team. That concerns me. That would concern me in a Chelsea fan's shoes of like, how do you keep this together? Like, how do you keep everyone happy? You guys were having problems keeping everybody happy last year. So, I don't disagree that at the end of the day, it's nice to have a club buy a bunch of young studs, or so you hope. One kid has 3 appearances at River Plate, 28 million. Yeah. You hope that
is all taking at like awful YouTube videos to see any bit of highlights.
Oh, good luck. Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Any bit of highlights on some of these cats. Dude,
no,
it's unbelievable.
So I think that's a huge concern. And like, dude, again, I'm doubling down on that Pedro Neto take. I don't think he's Conor Gallagher. I think you're getting a huge upgrade, but I would be concerned about his injury record. Like, wholeheartedly, has never put a full season together. When he's on, he's disgusting, but he goes down pretty easily, and that's kind of how some of those.
If Conor Gallagher is on, he's disgusting. Like
not the same, bro.
Yeah, but not the same. And he plays way more games.
Goals from the wing. Okay,
he plays a ton of games, but another thing too is like you never really knew where he was going to play on the team last year. I think if you again find some consistency, I think there's an okay player in Conor Gallagher. I think you got an explosive attacking player that should realistically help you. But you're right. Again, you've got guys that want minutes, so like,
I can't quite figure out for some of these guys that are like. Maybe coming from Argentina or like lower teams that we've never heard of before. I understand why you'd want to come to Chelsea. I understand. Well, I
not know.
Well, I think of like Caleb Wiley leaving the MLS, coming, as a 19-year-old
already on loan from us.
Correct. Yeah, like I understand why you would want to make that. Why you'd want to make that move, but for someone like Pedro Neto, who like is already Premier League proven and all that stuff, like. I just don't understand why you would choose Chelsea as a destination when the squad is already so bloated. Like, I feel like a lot of the signings that you all have made have been like supplementary signings. Like, you haven't made any signings, maybe barring Pedro Neto.
And Dewsbury Hall too. I think that's good business. I think he's a player.
Dewsbury Hall. Yes. But my thought even with that is like, does he get in this? the starting midfield over the rest of the guys there. Maybe not. I don't know. But like, because
already $200 million midfield.
yeah, and you have Caicedo, you have Enzo, you have Romeo Lavia, you have Leslie, whatever his name is. Like, you have these guys, and I don't know if Dewsbury Hall is better than him, but like, yeah, I just don't understand the Chelsea business at all, and I don't understand why, like, at this point in your career, why you would want to go to Chelsea if you're already an established first team player.
João Felix, come on over, brother.
Yeah, I'm like, what, I mean, you're still going to start Sterling. What's the deal with that? I don't know. But you're
so bad. Like, that's the one that I've been waiting for this whole summer. That, like, please, Fabrizio, can I get a here we go Raheem Sterling somewhere?
Please.
You.
So you're going with a C+ for the window.
Unfortunately, to be fair, I thought it was going to go a lot better for us. Like, I was very happy with a lot of our early decisions. And then it just kept happening. Every week we would sign someone else and someone new. And I think it kind of went on a spiral, like you guys have been saying, of we have so many players now that's going to be hard to pick from. And I think it's a challenge. And we've set ourselves up for a very interesting start of the season and a lot of difficult conversations that our new manager is going to have with a lot of these players.
Word. Okay, we'll see how it goes.
James injuries, brother. Come on, fuck out.
Again,
it's crazy.
Feel bad for the guy. He's got to go though.
I know. Yeah. And I know we want to move on, but like mentioning locker room stuff again, like our captain right now is Reece James, who like won't barely see the pitch because he's hurt all the time. We lost Thiago Silva. We got rid of Conor Gallagher. Like, our locker room, who's our leader? Who's going to be the guy who's stepping up? Like, right now,
I would have said Enzo a year ago, but I think he's in hot oil with the rest of the team.
Yeah, so like in
Sterling we trust, baby.
Fuck no!
Oh no!
All right,
we're struggling.
We'll move on to Manchester United. I might make this quick. I think Dobes and I might do a little United corner sometime over the next week. So I'll touch on this pretty quickly.
Signings?
Yeah, we made a couple, which is cool. Now, before I dive into what we did, I want you to know that going into the Community Shield, when we lined up against Manchester City, my transfer rating for us was a D. During the first 20 minutes of the City game, we got a here we go on De Ligt and Mazraoui from Bayern Munich, which raised from a D to a C-. So that is where I'm giving our transfer window so far, and I will explain. So outgoings towards the top of the list, we have Mason Greenwood, who officially left the club, got money for him. Willy Kwambala, which was a youngster, but played solid minutes last year when we hit our injury crisis. Varane, Martial, both left on freeze. Donny van de Beek, and then Aaron Wan-Bissaka as of like yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever it was. So
Wan-Bissaka free or no?
No, he was 15 million, which is crazy that he's Premier League proven and a great defender. But guys from Argentina that have played 3 appearances can be for 30. But I digress. And there might be more. Oof. Yeah, so like that's kind of crazy that we left him on a free because he was like our best defender last year. However, it is a little bit justifying that he ended up going to Como and not to like Bayern Munich or like Arsenal or like a big club that I would have been like, okay, we really fucked up. He's going to second division, or I guess now Serie A. But there might be more to come. There might be a couple of deals that we'll do the next 3 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if Eriksen, Lindelof, Maguire, Sancho, one of those guys either get sold or put on a loan. I don't imagine that Sancho will stay for the entire season, whether that's now or in January. We'll see. But our incomings, Lenny Yoro, Joshua Zirkzee, Mazraoui, De Ligt. Those are our incomings that we've had so far. And on paper, while that might seem nice, this kind of gives you insight into why I have it rated so low. Every single one of these signings has just been a replacement for guys that we lost in the offseason. So Lenny Yoro replaces Varane. Zirkzee replaces Martial. And right off the bat, maybe these two are more reliable than them, but Yaro's already hurt. Mazraoui replaces Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and then De Ligt will replace either Maguire or Lindelof, depending on who exits the club. We still have not bolstered our midfield whatsoever. Now, granted, Mason Mount is fully healthy, and this kid, Toby Collier, is coming up through the system. And maybe that is replacing what would have been like Casemiro and Amrabat on loan last year, but we haven't reinforced the center midfield whatsoever. And then we also need left back depth. We have Luke Shaw right now, who played in the final for the Euros and then miraculously was hurt again, didn't play against City, and he's already out for a couple of weeks. Tyrell Malacia is alive, but he is nowhere close to returning to the squad. And the only left back that we have in our team is the youngster Harry Amas, who played really well during preseason, but it doesn't look like he's going to be in the first team through the whole season. So there's a big question mark there of getting a left back. Maybe Mazraoui will slide straight into the left back position to start the season, but then that leaves our right back and left back positions vulnerable. So right now I'm giving us a C- after the here we goes of De Ligt and Mazraoui. They should be formally announced tomorrow. So that's where we are with transfers. But the preseason, I've been pretty impressed with preseason. Now, a lot of our top dogs didn't play until the City game. But I thought, even though we lost in pens to City, I thought we looked really good. I know that the first 30 minutes we were absorbing tons of pressure per usual with City. But then after we kind of woke up a little bit, and specifically in the second half, Bruno Fernandes, after training for 2 days, comes in and plays a full 90 minutes and plays out of his mind against City, plays super well. We were like 2 inches away from having an absolute smash and grab against City for the Community Shield. I don't really mind losing in pens for a preseason friendly. It doesn't really matter to me, but there's a lot of promising things that happened in that game. And then there was also something that was interesting during some of the preseason games. Really different like counter pressing that we saw from Ten Hag, kind of like a 4-2-2-2, 4-2-2-2, yeah, 4-2-2-2 system where it looked like what was Højlund and Bruno or Højlund and Mount being those top 2 like striker positions that we were high pressing a lot. And it boded really well for us in preseason. So I'm excited to see how that goes. But we're going to live and die by injuries and whether or not we get some reinforcements over the next couple of weeks. In a perfect world, all those reinforcements and all of those signings would have happened by the Fulham game. But hopefully we even just have like a striker who's fit to play that number 9 position. So I'm at a C- right now, and that's how I feel.
Preseason friendly, my ass. You would have won that,
Dude. If you guys would have won that game,
you would have beat City and been like, trophy already in the locker, baby. Add another one to Ten Hag's tally.
yeah,
Bro, we already won a trophy over City not too long ago. We're okay. It's a preseason friendly. Did we come on this podcast last year whenever Arsenal won in pens? And did we give any bit of notoriety to Arsenal for winning a preseason friendly?
No.
Absolutely the fuck not.
Absolutely
no,
not.
we did not.
But you
because it's a preseason
I did.
You know, as the biggest club in England, I don't think that we would have gloated about a preseason friendly.
We wouldn't have heard the
But you will about the Mickey Mouse Cup.
No.
You're insane.
I just don't think I would have, man. But I guess we'll never know, you know? But in reality, I think that while I'm excited about some of the incomings and I'm excited to see the names, I'm excited to see, De Ligt and Mazraoui are both of the lineage of Ten Hag back at Ajax when he, took them to the semifinals.
Which could be his downfall, considering
could be his downfall.
It's really all
genuinely
he likes to do is sign those caps.
Yeah, it could definitely be his downfall, but I would put De Ligt above Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
I would put him above Victor Lindelof. Yeah, bro. So I don't know. I just think that, the names excite me, but I think we're one injury away from, just being in shambles again. And then also not doing it. I understand that Casemiro is a hard deal to do. He's on like £350,000 a week. No one other than Saudi Arabia is paying that kind of money. And if he doesn't want to go to Saudi, then can't blame the guy. But Cassie being our 6th for the whole season, I don't see a world where that's successful. and we don't really have a backup plan. We didn't sell McTominay. We didn't sell Eriksson. We didn't sell a bunch of these guys that still are at the club. Antony's still there. He's like 5th on the pecking order of right wingers.
He promised me goals and assists this year, so
yeah, bro, he sure did in the article. But I loved what I saw in preseason of Amad Diallo. I think that he has locked down the right wing position, unless Garnacho starts there and Rashford starts on the left. But Amad looked amazing against City, looked really good all preseason. Garnacho came on against City, looked really great. I think he's still like maturing, great goal. He's 20 years old now as of a couple of days ago. He's really maturing, coming into his own. And then Toby Collier is the name for me to watch this season with our youngsters. I think he'll be with the first team all year. And I don't think that he'll be nearly as like dynamic of a breakthrough player as Kobe Manu was by any means. But I think that he's like a really great academy player to have on the bench. So
you sent a meme a while back that was the guy. It was like the before and after photo, and the before was him standing closer to the camera, and the after was him backing up. That's exactly how I feel about your team. It's kind of how I feel about mine too. But it's exactly how I feel about your team. Like, you're just naming all these guys, and I'm like, damn, they're still here. They're still playing. That's crazy.
Yeah, and like you just forget about them, and like it has to be that like Ineos just couldn't do deals for these guys. Like the value wasn't there. Like so they're just going to run down their contracts, whatever. I think we'll see the ruthlessness of Ineos when it comes time to like renew contracts and if guys are going to do it or not. So
I also think Sancho coming back is almost like a new signing for you.
Yeah, you hope. You hope that he is, and you hope that Mason Mount is. Like, I think that would be a huge win if both of those guys can at least stay healthy and be impactful. Now, whether they start a lot of games, I'm uncertain, but I wouldn't mind having Sancho and Mason Mount coming off the bench. Those are some pretty great depth options, if you ask me. So, Tottenham. What's the word, baby? What's the word?
Still no trophy.
Another pretty short list. Shocker, Daniel Levy, folks. That's Daniel Levy, everybody, the chairman of Tottenham.
When I was talking about how like I'm at least happy my ownership is buying players, I was fully thinking of Tottenham Hotspurs in the back.
I mean, that's just what it's always been.
Sorry.
I'm not. Never mind. I was going to say something. I'm not going to say it. But I'm going with a D here. Spurs did the same thing. It was just, you wanted to fill in some depth pieces. You want to push to get higher up the table. With that, you want to do a couple of things, and getting a striker is one of them. So that was cool. Dominic Solanke is in. I think that's the best route we could have gone. I think people wanted Tony. There were a few different things floating out there, but at the end of the day, he's the closest. Like, take this with a grain of salt, please. He is closer to Harry Kane than Richarlison is, for a lot of reasons. For a whole lot of reasons, he's a hold-up striker. If we look at the way,
do you want to go back to Harry Kane though?
What's up?
Do you want to go back to the days of Harry Kane though?
Well, kinda. Are you kidding? Yeah, a little bit, bro. It was a lot more fun.
No trophies.
He is a hold-up striker. If you have watched Spurs at all, their wingers do a lot of the scoring. It's a hold-up destination. So that's not something Richarlison was really ever good at. He never really billed himself that way either. So I don't necessarily blame him for not doing the things that Harry Kane was doing. He's not Harry Kane. I get it. If you score 20-plus goals on Bournemouth, there's something there. There has to be something there. It can only be an upgrade. I think a flop in the Dom Solanke realm would be less than 15 goals. And, I think that's a lot of...
All competitions or
what? All comps. All comps.
Okay. I was like, Jesus, man.
I think... and they're playing in the Europa again, so, 2 competitions at the least. I think less than 15's, not great. But it all kind of depends on how they play around him. He is holding up. He's feeding Sonny, who should never see the 9 position ever again. He's feeding Kulusevski, who I personally wanted to have some competition in the squad, or Brennan Johnson. Those guys all kind of rotate a little bit, but the guy that I wanted that could maybe still happen, but probably not, because Spurs, Eze would be so sweet. to bring him in, and that's kind of like my dream that would move this up maybe to like a D plus, C minus. But yeah, it was him, Archie Gray, in from Leeds, who I think is going to be a player. We let Højbjerg go, and I think it was about time. He was a stalwart. He was a really solid, guy at the club, solid midfielder. Came in and played important minutes when you needed him, but didn't ever really want to see him start a game. So Archie Gray comes in with this Bergvall kid who Spurs snagged under Barca. Played his last season, the end of last season. He was technically a winter transfer that stayed on loan, so his loan's permanent, or his transfer's permanent. I think he plays with the first team the whole year too, and he and Archie were really what I liked watching in preseason, and actually were really the only new players that I could watch in preseason because Solanke was confirmed a couple days ago. So I'm really excited to see both of them give some more depth and just different options through the midfield. James Madison's going to play every game as long as he's healthy. And then you kind of get into a grab bag of Basuma and Bentancur and, the Bergvall and Archie. And, Leeds fans were in tears on Twitter. Like, I can't believe you just got him. Like, you guys got an unbelievable player. They truly felt that way, and he was 17 last year. So, like, I'm hoping we're seeing a Kobe Mano, Caucasian version, and a future baller that would be super cool. Everybody wants that. That's what you want these young transfers to turn out to. So excited for them. We also got Min Hyuk Yang, the Sunny regen, the Sun Hyung Min regen, 18-year-old from somewhere in South Korea. He will be also playing this year in South Korea. Again, know absolutely nothing about him, but I love gambling on South Koreans. It worked out so well for us. Cool with it. Yeah, and then some of the outgoings. Emerson Royale, rest in peace, sweet prince. Loved the content. Loved everything he brought to Spurs outside of his actual performances on the pitch. Never forget the no-look pass into the seam that went straight out of bounds and wasn't even 10 feet from reaching. A lot of loans. Brian Hill, still not really sure why he's on the books. Sessegnon goes back to Fulham. Pumped for him on that front. We were so excited.
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited that we got him. It was like there's always these like wing backs in the championship that do really well and then come up and it's hit or miss. Jed Spence, same exact
I was going to say, shout out Jed Spence one time.
Troy Parrott, Tanganga, Rodon all out. Even Perisic confirmed all the way to Hadjuk split. So nothing's really changed too much, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it's not like it got a ton better. You had to do something for Richarlison. I think you keep Richarlison. I don't think you get rid of him at all. I think you continue that competition because Richie's not going to let that just quit. He wants to be on that pitch too. So 2 competitions, okay depth. That's kind of just the story of it. Like it's been like that for years. Spurs don't really go out and do crazy business and flood new players in. Timo Werner's loan got confirmed to a full transfer, 15 mil for like 10 assists. Fine, I'll take it. Whatever. Like it is, the Dominic Solanke thing is he was expensive, but again, what do I care? Why should I be bothered about what his transfer fee is in the next 2 to 3 years? I want to see him score goals, and if it doesn't work. Doesn't work. You ship them out for a discount and you try again. So, not a whole lot different. The young kids I'm excited for. We're playing Mikey Moore, who's been playing a lot in preseason. He's 16, up through the academy, and he signed a first-team deal today, which is cool. Again, don't really need to see him every week, but, it's exciting bringing those kids up. And that's one thing that Tottenham's done really well in their history is use the academy and actually bring academy kids through and play well. Like Oliver Skips here, Harry Kane, the most notable. Like guys really do come up through the ranks in Spurs, which is nice. But again, they're not gonna win you the league at this point. So D. It just wasn't better than that.
Yeah, totally feel that. Interesting. 2 teams that we're not going to dive into at all, but just worth noting, Liverpool and Manchester City collectively made a grand total of 0 signings between the two of them, which weird, especially for Arne Slot coming into a brand new team. You would assume that he would bring someone along with him or have some thought, but again, Liverpool comes in and doesn't make any signings. Weird. And then Manchester City.
Hold on, before we go, I do have a word from Butch on that.
Okay,
his grade was in fact NA,
Wow.
which I don't know if you can really give that as a grade just because your club didn't sign anything.
Like NA, meaning
not
like not applicable?
Oh.
I thought you meant like an.
Oh, no.
I was like, this guy ranks and grades things professionally for a living, and he just fucked that so bad.
No, not applicable. He said Arne Slot made no signings. We may get 1 to 2 players before the end. Doesn't matter. Arnie's army is ready to conquer. Need a world-class CDM, but have to spend a big coin to get it. The signing I desperately want is Fabian Ruiz from PSG.
Yeah, that would be a great signing for any team. That would be a great signing.
Yeah.
But I do find that Liverpool interesting not making a signing. I find it more surprising than City not making a signing. City going back to back to back.
You know who the transfer of the year was? Atletico Madrid picking up Julian Alvarez. We're only doing the Premier League in here, but that is some business.
I was about to say they just got $95 million for their backup striker. That's unbelievable business.
The backup striker, that's the treble-winning striker that also won the World Cup, that also played more minutes than anyone else in Manchester City's lineup last year.
And is like 22.
Yeah, that was a signing. But let's go to some awards. We have a couple of awards to go over for the season. We have the Golden Boot, the Player of the Season, the Transfer of the Season, and the Flop of the Season before we finish off with our top 4 rankings. So let's start off with Transfer of the Season, because I think that we were just talking about transfers. Who do we think is the Transfer of the Season?
I'll start because I think it's a good transition from what we were just talking about, and I think Hoove is. I thought you were interesting with your D grade. I think Solanke's a huge signing and is going to be the Transfer of the Season. I think you guys needed a striker exactly like him, and that's exactly what you guys got. And I think you said it perfectly, having him as a hold-up player to play Son and Kulusevski in and also get on the end of balls from those guys. I think you found the perfect guy with him. I think he's going to have a great impact for you guys in the future. And to be fair, I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, fair. He's on my list.
Disagree.
Dog.
No, Solanke is mine as well. I think that he's going to ball, and I think that I just think about how for as fun as Tottenham were to watch last year, Tottenham also missed a lot of chances last year, and I think that you get like a natural poacher, hold-up striker, as you mentioned, but a guy that can just finish on the end of crosses, bro. I think that he's going to cook, and I think that of all of the I don't know, I think about do I think that he's going to make more of an impact on your team than Joshua Zirkzee will on Manchester United? Yes. So there just aren't too many big signings to compare him to. But I also think that there's an interesting shout for Ian Maatsen going to Aston Villa. I think that he'll easily be their starting left back. Villa's team looks really good once again this year.
And I in there too. Sorry,
Ross Barkley's in there, bro.
They revamped the midfield, bro. Onana, he was on my list.
Yeah,
they're dogs.
I do think that there is a huge shout for Ian Maatsen to be on the team of the season in that left back position. And I love the way he played at Dortmund. I love when he played at Chelsea too. I liked watching him play, but I think attacking, free flowing in Aston Villa, I think that he is my special shout out. But Solanke is my answer for sure.
Winks,
Calafiore, baby.
No,
taking us to the title.
That was Butch's though. By the way, Butch's was Calafiore and
Calafiore.
Yep, and Dobes had Solanke as well.
We know ball, bro.
Second year in a row, we won Transfer of the Year, James Maddison and Solanke. So that's flowers where it's due.
Put it in the
hanging in the rafters.
Mine's ESR.
Hey,
I think that,
same.
Yeah,
I was gonna be a shout out I had too.
Yeah. So Who've you said it earlier that 15 goals was like the over under for him being a flop? I think that ESR gets 15 goal contributions easy this season at Fulham.
100%. I think he becomes one of the best players on that team. And I think they've not had creative outlets for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 100% with you that I underlined him. I had some other ones. I think Fulkrug's good business.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's going to be the player of the year. On a West Ham team that has needed goals for a long time, I think he's going to help them. But I think ESR is going to revamp how they play at Fulham. And again, I've loved Solanke too, but I did not mean to hijack your piece there, so continue.
No, you hit the nail on the head. I think that it's like we've seen a lot of players leaving certain clubs, leaving bigger clubs like Cole Palmer leaving Manchester City. You see what he's doing. I'm not saying they're, the same caliber of player, but
I was gonna say, watch yourself.
all right, relax. He's your one guy, so I'll let you have this one. But I think that it's just going to be a big unlock for him to be able to go to a team and be close to like the guy on that team.
Yeah.
It may take a 3-4 weeks or whatever at the beginning of the season to get comfortable, but I think he's going to be one of the guys there, and I think he's going to do really well. I have a tough time picking Solanke as that hold-up player. I don't know how many second assists he had last season, but he only had 3 assists last season. So it's hard for me knowing that you get a lot of goals from your wingers, seeing him as that guy that's going to be able to. I mean, obviously nobody's going to be able to play the same way Harry Kane did in that Tottenham system, but I just don't see that.
Yeah.
I just don't see that
I'm with you.
happening
And I think,
at the level that you might be expecting.
Yeah, and I think it's comes back to he could probably play well all year, be a contributing member of the squad, but you need your striker to score goals and get assists. If he's not doing that consistently, then where do you rank your number 9s? He's not a false 9. Mm-hmm. He's not. It's not his role. It's yeah. Henry, welcome back.
We'll see.
Thanks, bro.
What are you gonna do next?
Let's go. Did we talk flop of the season yet?
Nope.
We have not.
We did not.
Let's go flop of the season.
So I do have a quick question on this. Are we doing flop of the transfers, or are we just doing player in general flop?
Oh, I did transfers.
I did transfers.
Me too.
I did transfers.
Okay, never mind. We're good.
Okay. Who wants to start us off? Pedro Neto, bro.
Pedro Neto.
I wrote Pedro Neto / whoever Chelsea signed next as their striker. That is my Pedro Neto.
There were comparisons of the amount of minutes that he's played are what you have to base things off of. He's not played a lot of minutes. It's why we picked Tonali. Maybe Tonali was in hot water back then, but you got to be on the pitch to be a good transfer. So I think, and it's seriously, I don't think it's him. I think again, if he stays healthy the whole year, again, we could be talking about a totally different situation. He's a player. We all agree that he's a player. He just doesn't stay healthy. He just doesn't do it. Maybe with the depth that Chelsea has, he doesn't have to play as many minutes, but then
they may be getting rid of Reece James, and he's unfortunately. I love to watch him play too, but I could see him being the next Reece James as soon as he leaves for is going to be at Chelsea for a long time, but never plays. Butch had Pedro Neto. I had Pedro Neto / the Chelsea team, and Dobes had just the Chelsea team. So
amazing. Nikki, any rebuttal, any thoughts, any other awards you're dishing out?
Do you want to hear mine?
Yeah.
Mine's Calafiori.
Hey.
Say more.
Yeah. I just think kind of like what you guys have been saying a lot about him. We wanted Arsenal to come in and make a Premier League winning signing, and some people think that he is that, and I do not think he is that whatsoever. Don't think we know where he's quite going to fit into that team. And hopefully Arteta has something planned. I will agree. I think Pedro Neto is not a great signing as well, and he was definitely on my list for flop of the season. He's coming into a team in a position that we have a lot at.
I think that's the best point to make about California, whatever Italian it is. Like, we're asking how many people on that back line to play out of position, and we're going to have another guy just come in fresh and who's played 25 minutes with the team and then play out of position again. I think that's the biggest concern, because I think we agree that, again, he's a player, but there's a lot going on. Are you guys going to play 3 in the back, do you think? I almost asked you that earlier. Like,
Yeah.
When we're on offense, we do that anyways.
Yeah.
So depending on which side of the field the ball's going down, Ben White's going to be up the field, or he will be, or Timber.
Yeah. That's fair. Let's do Golden Boot. Who do we think is going to win the Golden Boot?
Do we all agree on this one that it's Haaland again?
No, I think
he's gonna regress.
Yeah,
I think City in general are going to regress, but I put Solanke, bro. I put Solanke as the Golden Boot. I think he's coming off of a season where he was up there anyway, and now he's going to get more service. He's going to get more opportunities, and I think he's going to do it. And if I'm going to back him being my transfer of the season, I think that he's got to put up some big numbers in the striker position to be considered that, you know? So he's going to be my Golden Boot.
I'm doing the opposite, because I never look at Spurs in a positive light, just in general. So I'm copping out and saying Haaland again, partially because there is no Alvarez. Like, there's not rotation. And again, it's none of this matters if anybody stays healthy or doesn't. But, like, he misses so many opportunities, and he has regressed a little bit. But, like, he just gets triple the amount of opportunities than anybody else. And that was evident all year last year. And I think it was the least fun Golden Boot race I've ever watched. But, like, he's still going to do it. That's my argument against it. It is a cop-out, but, like, I couldn't have gone Dom just with the fact that I've never seen him play with the squad. And really, there's maybe a couple other guys in there that I could have mentioned, but not really. Like, it's not going to be Havertz. Cole Palmer doesn't play high enough up the field. There's a lot of stud players that should be getting towards that number. That it's just, he's an out-and-out 9. They're going to find him in the box. That's it.
That's true. That's very true.
For the sake of being different, I'm going to say Isak. Great season last year. He was one of the guys that I wanted Arsenal to sign this summer. Yeah, I mean it's going to be Haaland, but for the sake of being different, I mean I could see. I agree with Henry. I think that Haaland is going to regress this year, but I could see it being a Solanke or an Isak or even a Mo Salah. I hate saying that with my entire being, but I could see that happening again too. It won't be Darwin, and that's where I stand.
Yep, this is like getting the answer on the test, guys, before I have to just fill it out. I know it hurts, and I know it doesn't feel great, but it's definitely Erling Haaland. Since coming into the Premier League, he's been the Golden Boot every year, so why would it not be him this year, next year?
Good argument. You can't really argue with that. Lastly, player of the season. I feel like this is the one that's up for grabs, especially coming off of a year where there was like Phil Foden, wasn't like Haaland, wasn't KDB, like wasn't anything like that. So I feel like this one's up for grabs.
I'm throwing it in there, boys. Cole Palmer. I think he's going to continue to ride the wave as far as it goes coming off the Euros. I think he didn't get as much minutes as I want, but I think his confidence definitely increased based on him coming off the bench and providing an immediate impact. I think he's going to do the same at Chelsea, and I think he's going to be our heart and soul. Watching preseason, you can even see by the way we play. We all think you guys all saw it, or Henry at least saw it. We looked like shit, but when Cole Palmer is on the pitch for us, we look like a completely new team. I think if we have any success this year, it's because of him. And I think that's why he will win Player of the Year.
Dude, if we see Cole Palmer wear the armband this year at any point of the season, it'll be the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Against City, too.
Yeah, it'll be so funny. Okay, I mean, Cole Palmer, sure. I understand the logic behind it. He had a great season last year. You all are really not going to like my answer at all. It's Bruno Fernandes.
Nah, it's never Bruno. It's never Bruno.
The thing is, it's never Bruno, but I think this is the year that it will be Bruno. And I think that the Bruno that we saw towards the end of the season last year and the Bruno that we saw in the Euros, he's
The same.
fact of the matter is he has created more chances than anyone else in the Premier League for the last 5 years. And I think this year he's actually going to have some strikers to be on the end of his crosses. I think his assist and goals numbers are going to be through the roof this year. I think it's going to be damn near impossible to ignore the impact that he's having on this United team. And I think that he's going to be the player of the season this year. And this is coming from a guy, I'm not Connor Sindobri. Connor Sindobri loves Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes has frustrated the fuck out of me for the last several years. But I think that this is...
That was just a read of a Connor's text that he
sent. No. Dobes loves Bruno. I don't, but I think that this is going to be Bruno's year. And if Manchester United are going to be any bit successful, which I predict that they will, I think that it's going to be up to Bruno entirely.
Boo.
Tomato.
I have a hard time with the player of the season, partially because I refuse to pick a player on any of your guys' teams. So that's one thing, maybe a little biased, maybe not, but I'm also copping out here. Kevin De Bruyne had 14 goal contributions in 15 starts last year. He was hurt the entire season. That's almost a goal contribution a game with a half of a hamstring. I'm doubling back down on this guy. I think it may be his last year in the Premier League. I don't think there's going to be much of a let up, though. Like, he's still seriously, like, the way he's changing, some of these legends, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, all these guys that went through their legend status, adjusted how they played. Wayne Rooney did the same thing, but they kept being good at it. Like, he doesn't necessarily need to be the guy that scores 10 goals, 15 assists. He may just dish all year from a deeper position. He doesn't have the legs he used to have. A really long injury is not going to help that either. But, like, the skill and the quality he has around a pretty unchanged City team, I have a hard time seeing it not be him again. And, like, you know, I wouldn't have even said Phil Foden for last year. So, like, he was great. He was unplayable. He was so good. But, like, he doesn't do it in the same fashion with the same consistency that KDB does. So,
yeah,
I'm doing that. I will say, Nick, to make you feel better, I had Palmer underneath him as my other one because deserved young player of the year. I agree. I don't think he's going to slow down. I think he's going to continue to get better. My concern is for Chelsea, as you very well have found out from all of us on this podcast. But he's your best player, I think. And it's insane to even think that he is with the guys that have come in. So that's my secondary shout. You're welcome.
Dig that.
I'm going to go with Declan Rice as the player of the season for next year. Connor Sindobri, your United Corner brother, also had Declan Rice as the player of the season.
Wow.
Dobes doesn't know anything.
Continue it right. I'll clip the hell out of that.
Henry Bruno Fernandes, what the fuck?
Bruno Fernandes.
I think with City inevitably regressing this season, we're going to see Declan Rice step into a similar role that Rodri had in the Premier League. I think that from a goal contribution perspective, it's going to go up. He had 7 goals, 8 assists, or 8 goals, 7 assists last year, and some of the best defensive stats in the league. I think that he's only going to improve. In this team, especially with a back line that's improving, will give him a little more freedom to move forward. And assuming that we end up signing Mikel Merino, that will, again, give him a little more freedom to be that box-to-box player that he's one of the best in the world at doing. I have full confidence.
I think if you win the league, you're right.
He could do it. Yeah.
That's fair.
And I've watched a lot of videos, read a lot of articles, and a lot of them, the predictions, and again, I know they're way too early predictions, but have the player of the season split up between Odegaard, Saka, and Declan Rice.
So you're reading
between Arsenal players specifically that could win the player of the season. Hold on, no.
BBC's not coming out with that. There's no way.
We're not reading But I don't see. I don't see that. I think that, like, that from a player of the season perspective, I think the game is shifting. I think that Rodri was a big reason behind why people's views are shifting away from just like the top goal scorer as the player of the season. You know, I think that he was. I know that there have been center defensive mids before him, you know, taking over the league in the way that he has. But I think that in recent years, he's been kind of that player that's shifted everyone's mindset to look at defensive players or guys who contribute on both sides of the ball to that accolade. So I could 100% see. I agree, Hoove, if we win the league, you know, his contribution to that will be nothing short of a lot, and so he's my pick for the season.
Sure thing.
Butch had Mo Salah. Nobody cares, so we can move on to the next one.
New haircut, baby. Gentlemen, let's end with a quick fire top 4. We don't need a big explanation. Just who is your top 4 for the end of the season?
I have like most of my notes on this are scratched out. So we're going off the dome at this point because I couldn't set up anything.
I love it. I'll start. Arsenal, City, United, Spurs.
Ooh, wow. Are we gonna comment on these, or are we just moving on?
There's no way, dude. There's no way.
To what part?
There's no way.
United in top 4 and Arsenal winning. I don't think it's happening on either.
Arsenal, if they like, the thing is, here's the deal.
I want to hear it. And if Arsenal, defend your squad. If
Arsenal doesn't win, Arteta has to be on the chopping block. If they don't win,
they like second place. Apparently,
it's comfortable, I suppose. I think that that's just the year that they might do it. And I'll be thrilled if we get to May and the bottle job has been complete once again. City, I do think that they are going to regress. I do think that not making the signings in the offseason, I think is going to catch up with them. What a weird thing. Yeah. I do think that United are going to come around, genuinely. I think that we were really, 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 really injury stricken last year. And assuming that we aren't that way, I think that we'll be top 4 comfortably. And then Spurs, I think Spurs. Spurs played really well last year. I really think that they did. Sorry. And I think that even just signing that one major signing of a 9, I think that does a lot for Spurs in the way that Ange plays. So I stand by my top 4, and we'll see.
I don't love my top 4, but
I don't either.
I'm going to go with it. I think if there's a year for Arsenal to do it, it's this year.
Hey, now.
But I've got City on top, baby. Number 1. They're going to follow it again. Come back to the podcast in a couple of months. Hey. It was never going to be them. Bottle Job FC. They've only ever done nothing but get second place. It's never going to happen. I'm never going to have to watch it. I'm never going to have to listen to JP Murray talk about it. So it's going to be the best. I'm going to drink those tears yet again this year. But they're going to come in second because that's their spot. This is the wild one. And it's really not that wild, I don't think. I think Villa don't back off.
Nice.
I think Villa are, and if you look at the other teams that could slide into that spot, Liverpool, Chelsea, United, maybe Newcastle and Spurs, I think they were the most consistent. And especially with the transfers coming in, they're really reshaping the center of the pitch without tearing too much of it up. So I think they're going to be good. I think Villa is going to be sick. I do have Spurs in 4th. Again, like Henry, we could be 2 injuries away from just an absolute downfall, which is why I have United lower. I think United as a complete team could be good, but there's a little bit more depth at Spurs. I like Ange in his second year. If everyone's healthy, they're a fun team to watch. So that's my top 4. I don't know if I love it, but I'm sticking with it.
Mine's very similar to Hoove. Literally, your top 3 are like same thought process that I have. I completely agree with you. I think it goes City, Arsenal, Villa. I think Villa is going to have another year as well. I will say them being in European competition, I'm a little interested to see how that fares for them.
Biggest
as far
one
as
for me, for
Premier
sure.
League goes. But obviously my fourth is Chelsea, similarly to how you guys have all said your guys' club. I think there's an opportunity for them to kind of figure it out. I mean, we went on a 6-game win streak towards the end of the season, climbed up a couple of places, so there's definitely some good things as far as that goes. Yes, we have an entirely new, different team.
Fired manager, got team.
But I do think on our day, if we figure it out and Maraska gets this squad firing on all cylinders, the talent is there, and I think something could happen. So obviously,
I give him till December before it's out.
I was gonna say this.
I think he has a way longer chance than Ten Hag does. So
I give him till December, bro.
So then I give August for Ten Hag.
Delightful. Lucas, round us out, bro.
Yeah. So my top 4, let me say it, and then you guys can say what you want. City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea. As is right now, we talked about it in the grading of our teams. I wanted a backup for Saka and an out-and-out striker. We haven't gotten that yet. If we get that before the end of the window, I will change my answer on the episode shortly after that. I still think City does regress, but it's still City, and it's so annoying.
Just Pep's last year,
perhaps,
maybe. And he's gonna
one final ride, baby.
And I can't see him leaving without winning the league first.
Yeah,
but
hard guy to bet against.
Yeah, I have Chelsea at 4 for the sake of depth, because we know that with how many games these guys are playing throughout the year, that guys are going to get hurt, and they have 60
They're only
subs
playing
that
like
they can
what?
bring in.
38?
Exactly. So
38 games?
So
They're
they should
playing
be
in Europe.
He's got a point.
They should be which means that they're in the best spot
fresher.
to keep guys healthy and fresher and fit for the league. You know, so I have them at 4, and similarly to what, you know, reason I don't have United in there is because you guys haven't added any depth. You've just replaced guys that are leaving, and you guys were injury ridden last year. You know, Spurs had a couple key injuries last year, and then losing, you know, your Prince at wing back too. I don't know that the depth's there for either of you guys. Liverpool scores goals.
That's true.
I have Liverpool higher than I thought I was going to have them. They honestly could have slipped in for 4 for me because, again, just because they didn't bring anyone in doesn't mean they lost many people either. Like,
exactly.
That's true.
So that's where I stand at the moment. But again, if we can sign those 2 spots, or even an out-and-out striker, depending on who it is, I will happily change my answer in a podcast to come.
Hand up. Did not have that on my bingo card.
For real, bro. I just I don't
if you don't know that I'm a realist by now, then you don't know me.
I just don't understand fans that can't support their own club, you know, that don't believe in their own club.
Well, relax, because some of us don't win shit, so.
Do you have Butches and Dobes that you can go through real quick?
I do, yeah. So Dobes' top 4 are City, Arsenal, Villa, United. So a couple Villa shots there. And then Butchie's
Liverpool, probably.
Liverpool number 1.
Yeah, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Chelsea.
Interesting. Chelsea getting a shout. Well, as always, when it comes to this episode every year, only time will tell. We'll see.
All of that shit.
Yeah, you know, we could get to the first week of September and throw this whole list out the window.
Absolutely.
But, lads, I will speak on behalf of all of us when we say we are so goddamn happy that the Prem is back. For those of you who are watching fans, Friday at Amsterdam Tavern, we'll be there watching the United Fulham kickoff of the Premier League 2024-2025 season. As always, make sure you shop manscaped.com using promo code MECCA20 for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Gentlemen, cheers. It's a goddamn pleasure for 4 seasons.
We're doing it.
We'll catch you next time. Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.